now we're going to get into our first segment of the show. And really, honestly, we have to look ahead to this Saturday. For anyone that doesn't know, or if you're living under a rock, TCU plays on Saturday. College football is back here in Fort Worth, and they're playing against the Colorado Buffaloes and the one and only Deion Sanders, who is kind of headlining this thing, right?
Yeah, it's a really exciting matchup compared to last year with Colorado, and they didn't really have anything going for them. And TCU, no one would have anticipated the year that they would have in 2022. So now this year, kind of a rematch. I mean, both teams have changed entirely. So this is a really compelling matchup. A big noon kickoff will be here, and it's a great way to open up, the 2023 season. At the Carter, it's going to be packed, dude. Like, this is going to be a madhouse. And despite the heat, fans are going to show up because not only is it celebrating the start of a new season, but it's celebrating last season and all that they accomplished in what was the best year for TCU football.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, too, how the expectations have changed around this game specifically from just like looking back at it like a year ago. If this game has been on the schedule for a couple of years now, and if you would have told any of us, I think any three of us in this room or anyone that's listening, that in like 5 years from after this game was scheduled, the home game for TCU in 2023 would be on Big Noon Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time on Fox with Big Noon kickoff here live in front of the stadium. We would have. I don't know what my reaction would have been. It definitely would have been. If you would have told me that TCU made the national championship a year before, I might have said that's probably the reason why. But I think we all know the reason why that they are here is maybe partly because of TCU's national championship run, but that's not. I mean, the big story here is Deion Sanders and the mass exodus at Colorado, and now all the transfers that have come in, and then how that's going to work out. Because I can almost assure you that about 70% of Big Noon Saturday is going to be spent on what the Buffaloes did this offseason and how that's going to impact them in the long run and in the immediacy.
Exactly. Yeah, and. Again, it's kind of the sad part of the whole thing is that, Big Noon is here, which is great, but they're more here for that Deion Sanders story. And I'm hoping TCU can put together a great performance on Saturday. It's going to be really hot, though. I think the boys are definitely going to have to definitely be ready for that. But they've been practicing all summer for that in summer and fall camp. But yeah, it's the Deion Sanders headline, really. And I mean, even the week after, Big Noon is going up to Colorado when they play Nebraska. So they're really pushing this Deion Sanders to Colorado, thing.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, it's kind of like a little overrating Colorado. Like, did people forget how bad they were last year?
1-11.
Yeah, they've were horrible. I mean, they were really, really bad, and they've had a ton of new transfers. And I get it, like it's a new identity, a new team, but to go from one win to even contending a little bit, that's super, that's not being very realistic. This team, I don't think they're going to be – they'll be better, but I can't imagine that they'll be that much better because TCU is, 20.5-point favorites right now?
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to touch on. I think the public expectation is kind of a little bit, more – it's a little higher on this Colorado team than, a lot of – seasoned veterans that know college football. I mean, 20.5-point favorites. That's a lot of points to give TCU. I mean, this is not a gambling show or anything like that, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. The heat is definitely going to be a story. Deion's a story, and then we can talk about this too. New quarterback for TCU, Chandler Morris.
Oh yeah, I think outside of the Deion Sanders kind of headlining event, it's at least for everyone here in Fort Worth and around the TCU community, it's all surrounding Chandler Morris, right? And I mean, let's just take a quick travel back just about exactly a year ago from now, right? TCU getting ready to play Colorado up in Boulder, and Chandler Morris has won the job. Max Duggan is obviously, taking a seat on the bench to start the year, and then the team comes out, offense looks good, and then Morris takes that hit and kind of hurts himself. And then really, I mean, the rest is history. We don't really have to go through what else happened, but I mean, it's interesting how these last two seasons, this one included, are starting. And I mean, Chandler is back in that seat of, hey, this is your team again. And, Zion and I were at the press conference earlier this Tuesday, and Sonny Dykes said, look, he's much more matured. He's more established within the team. His leadership presence, it's not going to be exactly like with what Max Duggan had, but Chandler Morris is going to have to run this offense, and he's going to have to start that on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think another story on the offense is how Chandler Morris, he's had opportunities in the past. We can point to the Baylor game 2 years ago. That was kind of the coming out party, and everyone at that. I remember sitting in the student section, and everyone was chanting Chandler Morris, Chandler Morris, Chandler Morris, because of that awesome performance. I mean, y'all were there too. Y'all probably remember that as well. And then he ends up getting hurt, I believe, in the Oklahoma State game. And then Max takes over for the final couple games of that season, then gets the job, as you mentioned. But that was all, under an offense that was under the Gary Patterson regime. And then this last offense was a Garrett Riley offense and Sonny Dykes as well. And now new OC Kendall Briles is coming in. And obviously, that's a different system. He's coming from Arkansas. They ran the ball a ton at Arkansas. They had, Raheem Sanders, KJ Jefferson. That's just a wrecking crew up there in Hogs country. But and TCU's gonna, maybe we'll see a shift into that kind of thing. But it's gonna be interesting to see how Chandler Morris adapts to a different system, even with the Sonny Dykes kind of blanket on top of it.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at this, when you're looking at this TCU team, right? I mean, when you think about what the team needs to do to win, right? In terms of the defense, I think what's good is that you have so many returning guys from the previous season. I'd say aside from D. Winters and Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, everyone's coming back. And also, don't forget, we're getting Marcel Brooks back, which is great.
Dylan Horton. Don't forget.
Dylan Horton, excuse me. Yeah, thank you, Seth. But right, aside from those three guys, there's a lot of returning defensive players on this team for a defense that last season was pretty darn solid. And so I'm looking for the defense to definitely make a big impact, but this offense is going to be really interesting. I don't know how you guys feel, but it's just such a young and new offense.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I mean, it's kind of, you need that first game to really get a feel of what things are going to look like, with rotations. And, I'm curious what you guys think with the running back situation, how they plan to split touches. Sonny Dykes said in the press conference that he plans to play 20 plus players on both sides of the ball. So you're going to really get a look at every player on this roster and really see who's going to find themselves a little bit of a role. A guy I'm really excited about is Jared Wiley, because he is coming into his second year at TCU, right? Yeah, second year. He had 24 catches, 245 yards, and 4 touchdowns last season. He was kind of just, I think he had some timely plays and really physical tight end. And under this new offensive scheme, they like to utilize the tight end. So I could totally see Jared Wiley stepping into a leadership role, which, by the way, I just remembered this. Dude, this man lost 17 pounds in one practice. 17 pounds.
Was that him?
Yep, that was Jared Wiley.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that's
like Paolo Banchero. Did you see that too?
Yeah.
I don't even know how that's possible.
I don't know, but that's intense. But I think he seems so excited. Just kind of the energy he's been giving off. He's really excited about this new offense. And I'm telling y'all, Jared Wiley's going to have a baller season. I just feel it.
Yeah. Jared Wiley and as much as, look, I think he's going to have a great season. And I think the one thing that also Jared Wiley can offer this team is just veteran presence as a whole, right? This team, especially the offense, defense aside, because we were just talking about that, Jared Wiley's a huge veteran presence for this offense. And especially in a team where there's, just like Sonny said, he said, look, we've got a lot of young guys that have that talent, right? But it's perhaps unproven at this level right now. And I think Jared Wiley's going to be an absolutely integral part to the Horned Frog offense this season. And, it's going to start on Saturday, and I'm really excited. And going back to what you said about Sonny wanting more than 20 guys on each side of the ball, it tells you what he probably thinks about Colorado and how they're going to show up this weekend. Honestly, it really does. When a coach says that, and then all the headlines are around the Buffaloes and Deion Sanders and his son, kind of tells you what Sonny Dykes is feeling. So
yeah, you can kind of read between the tea leaves there, can't you? Another thing that I think we need to talk about, and we kind of talked about it with Colorado in terms of what the expectations are for them and how, and just then, right? Sonny Dykes based on what he hasn't said it, but we are inferring that he is not thinking that this game is going to be, a shootout for the ages. We got to I think we all got to look in the mirror a little bit on how we're viewing the Horned Frogs this season, especially coming out of last season. And I think the overall media surrounding TCU is kind of, on a pretty level field of everyone's not expecting what happened last year. And I'm certainly not expecting what happened last year. And I hope that for anyone that is, I would suggest to kind of temper those expectations, because what happened last year was probably the most special thing that has ever happened at this university in terms of athletics. And to expect that to happen again, if it does happen again to a certain extent, I hope we win the Big 12 championship this time.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's the whole idea, is that you got to just curb your expectations going into this season. It's not the same team. It's not going to be the same team. I would love for TCU to make it back to the CFP. That would be wonderful. I'm not saying this team can't, but you just can't necessarily expect that from day one, because this can very easily be a transition year. Quickly, though, as we're wrapping up this segment, let's just talk score predictions real quick. Zion, what are you looking forward to on Saturday, and who do you think will come out on top?
Well, I'm really looking forward to the defense and seeing what they can do, and kind of that familiarity that we already have with a lot of guys returning. I'm going with TCU, but I'm kind of expecting a blowout here. I'm going to go 38-13. TCU wins.
All right, 13 points for Colorado. That sounds about right to me. That sounds about right.
I think they could, maybe catch us a little off guard, and they might go down and score a touchdown first possession. Who knows? And then I think TCU could settle in from there, but because they're going to be throwing a lot.
Yeah, if you remember, TCU was down to Colorado, I believe, at the half last year.
Yep, they were.
So certainly first season jitters for everyone, right? In terms of my score prediction, I'm on the same page as you, Zion, about a little bit more of a blowout here. I'm gonna go 35-17. I know that maybe with a touchdown tacked on at the end for a little for some glamour for Colorado.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm sticking with you there. I think Colorado's going to come out, get 17. I'm expecting them to probably score a touchdown and a field goal first. I don't know why. That's just what it feels like.
There's certain
Let's
things.
predict the sequencing.
No,
of events
I know. This is
two
a
touchdowns
score prediction
in the first 10 minutes, and then a field goal maybe with 13 and a half left.
No, exactly. That's exactly what's going through my head. But no, I would say, gosh, with TCU, I go probably 34. I want to say 34-17, something like that. Maybe 31-17, somewhere in that ballpark. I'll just put a pin in it. 31-17 TCU. I'm hoping that Colorado scores later on in the game, perhaps, and not
garbage time.
Yeah, in garbage time. Or what would be great to see is, going into the half a little, close, tied up, and then TCU takes that in the second half. But anyways, really looking forward to Saturday. We know everyone else listening is as well. It's a massive game, 11 a.m. kickoff at Amon G. Carter Stadium between TCU and the Colorado Buffaloes. Right after this break, we'll be back here on Riff Ram Review here on 88.7 KTCU The Choice, your choice for college radio.